right, how's everybody? We're at chapter 11 now, safe facilities and equipment. So here we're talking about the facilities and the equipment itself. One, the construction plan. Whenever you're looking at a construction plan, you need to make sure that if you're doing any kind of changes, you need to talk to the regulatory authorities to get approval for it. So you can't just change your restaurant and do construction and them not know about it. So they have to come and check it out and everything. The flooring, it must be smooth, durable, non-absorbent, easy to clean, wear resistant, and slip resistant. You really want to make sure that you have those things in place because the floors, if you can't keep them clean, it becomes a pain. And they need to, especially in a kitchen, you want them to be slip resistant so that, people are not slipping and sliding. I've slipped on the floor more times than I know what to do in my years of the industry. To prevent this problem, non-absorbent flooring in these areas, you want to make sure it's non-absorbent in your walk-ins, your prep and food storage, your dishwasher, your dishwashing room, your restrooms, and your lockers. Non-porous, resilient floors, they're relatively inexpensive. They wear easily, they're easy to clean, and they resist the grease. Disadvantage, easily damaged and slippery when wet. So, not a good one. Hard surface floors, advantages, durable. Carpeting, you know what, you can have carpeting in your dining room, but not in your kitchen. I wouldn't do it in your kitchen. Special flooring needs for non-slip surface in your traffic, non-slip surfaces in your traffic areas, ideal. Make sure that you've got rubber mats. You can use rubber mats. Some places do, some places don't. It definitely helps with the slip resistant, that people don't fall. But if you don't have them right next to each other, there will be gaps and people can twist their ankles. So I've seen that happen. So you want to make sure that that's easy to use. Your walls, for your interior walls, they need to be smooth, non-absorbent, durable, and easy to clean, because you got to be able to wash the walls. If I'm sitting here and I'm cleaning something like chicken and it splashes, I got to be able to wipe it. So you want to make sure that the walls are easy to clean. Your dry storage area is designed easy to clean, has no direct sunlight to it, because some things can't have the sunlight on it. Usually storerooms, there's really no windows in your storeroom. There's no pipes, no steam pipes, no water lines. Fill the cracks and crevices of the floor. Self-closing doors. You want to make sure that your doors aren't just wide open and you don't have anything keeping the insects out. That there's like blowers that can keep the insects out. Use screens or windows in your doors. Hand washing stations. You want to make sure that they're convenient and that they're located and they're easy to use for people to wash their hands. Make sure that they're not blocked. One thing I will tell you, hand sinks are not used for food. A lot of people, I've seen students, especially new students, they'll try and use a hand sink to clean something. And it's like, no, you can't. It's just for washing hands. So it's really making sure that is good. Again, you got to have your signage. You got to have a garbage container. So these are musts that you have to have. It's on your certification. So you have to have the hot and cold running water, the soap, a way to dry your hands, a garbage container, and signage. So you got to have, those are musts that you have to have for the hand washing station. Sinks, especially to prevent cross-contamination, you're not going to wash your hands in a sink. There's utility sinks, there's sinks for, your floor stuff. So you always want to make sure that none of that is together, that you're not using something to clean a chicken and to clean the floor. You're going to have cross-contamination. So, and you usually don't see anything like that in kitchens. Restrooms should be separate from staff, for staff and for guests. But sometimes if you've gone to a small place, the restroom is the same for the staff and the guests. If it's shared, the operation must be designed so guests do not pass through the prep area. The last thing you want to do is have your guests have to pass through the kitchen. That's not good. They're going to see things they don't need to see. It should be convenient, sanitary, equipped with self-closing doors, and adequately stocked. Dressing rooms, And lockers, do not use dressing rooms for prep areas. Again, dressing rooms, you can't use anything. You can't keep any food there because you'll have soiled jackets or whatever, and it could get on the food. So you got to be very, very careful with that. The NSF mark is on products. You'll see that on like utensils. You'll see it on cutting boards. The NSF, you want to have that. That equipment the NSF equipment ensures food equipment surfaces are non-absorbent, smooth, corrosion resistant, easy to clean, durable. And you'll see a lot of equipment with the NSF stickers on them. That's what you usually see. So commonly used types of dishwashers: a single tank. You can have a stationary rack machine, or you can have the conveyor belt where it just kind of goes through. It just keeps pushing. You have the carousel, the flight type, the batch type, which is kind of the dump. It will, do your batches and then go from there. Recirculating the door where it just kind of keeps coming through. And it just pushes through. Usually the ones I've seen the single, and I've seen the ones where it's the big conveyor, and you can just keep, and you can get 10 of these things, and it just keeps pushing through, and like a conveyor belt, just kind of pulling it through the system. Dishwashers must be installed. Here you go. So at least 6 inches off the floor. So remember, everything has to be 6 inches off the floor. We talked about that, right? The other is your dishwasher you need to know the temperatures, the max temperatures. The final rinse is 180 degrees. If you're using a 3-compartment sink, you want to make sure that you have your soap, your rinse, and your sanitize. That's your 3-compartment sink. Coolers and freezers, they got to have that. You can have the reach in or not. So a reach in is kind of like your refrigerator at home. It opens and you reach in. You can have the walk in where you literally open up a door and you walk in like you're walking into a room. You're walking into the cooler. Love those. But again, they got to be 15 centimeters, 6 inches off the ground. Blast chillers, those are fabulous. They're very, very expensive pieces of equipment, but they literally freeze things and cool things off very, very quickly, which is nice. Cutting boards may be wooden or synthetic. Wooden, you got to make sure that they're being washed properly. The problem with wood is people don't wash them properly, and if you don't use the salt will help sanitize it. And food particles and stuff, and they can get slimy and gross because they'll get cracks in it. So usually you're going to see the plastic. Floor mounted equipment, again, needs to be 6 inches off the ground. And then there's tabletop. So you have floor mounted, which is 6 inches, then your tabletop, which is 4. So if I have a piece of equipment that goes on top of a table, it has to be 4 inches off the table. Okay, so that's your table mounted. That's 4 inches. Floor is 6. The tabletop is 4. You got to know that one. Okay. Except you want to make sure that your water is potable. That potable water is drinking water, to be that it's closed, and it can't be, it's approved by the public, or you'll have either one, but it's regulated and that it's been tested. Your cross connection. Here you need to know this. It's a physical link between safe water and dirty water from drain, sewers, and waste. So here, what it is you'll have your water connection that it will come to about this far off the ground, okay, off where your grate is, for it to go into the grate. And you'll have about 2 to 3 inches where the pipe hits, and then it doesn't touch anything, and then it doesn't have anything that it touches, and the water just goes into the drain. And that's what the cross connection is. And what it is that it's a physical link. There's no link between it that no dirty water can get up into a clean drain. Okay, and that's what we mean by a cross connection. So you see that it has backflow. So backflow is reverse flow of contaminant through a cross connection into a drinkable water supply. Usually you're not going to see any kind of backflow thing. If you look on that slide, how do I do this so that I know? It doesn't let me. Look on your slide 1139, and I'll take a picture tomorrow when I'm at work. But you can see where it doesn't touch the grate all the way. It has some room. It has about 2 inches, 4 inches off the ground, so that it's not hitting it. Backflow prevention methods, you have the vacuum breaker or the air gap. And the air gap is where there's no connection in between the two. So you need to know the air gap. What's an air gap? You need to know that. If there is a backup of sewage in the operation, the affected area should be closed, and the problem must be corrected. And if it's not, if it's in an area where you're cooking and you cannot close it off, then you have to be shut down. Service must be stopped if you can't. So, and the regulatory authorities have to be notified. I lost the word for a second. So make sure that you know that. That's on your exam too. I've seen that question before. So then we have your lighting. You need to have 50-foot candles for your prep areas and 20-foot candles for your hand washing buffets, all of that, and then the 10-foot candles. Kind of know the difference between those. Ventilation is your improved air quality. You must not have anything to drip on the food or the equipment. Usually there's drip containers underneath it, so you want to make sure that those are hanging there so you don't get the grease. Whenever you're taking out garbage, you need to know this one too. The removal of garbage from the prep area. Be careful not to contaminate the food surface. Don't put it on a table. Once you pull it out, you use gloves and you take it out to the trash. Indoor containers must be leak-proof, waterproof, pest-proof, cleaned easy, and covered when not in use. Designated storage areas, store waste recycle bins, and that's for your outside. And here, you want to have store waste and recyclables away from the food and food contact surfaces, okay? When you're looking at your outdoors, you need to know this one too. I've seen this. Be placed on a smooth, durable, non-absorbent surface. Usually it's asphalt or concrete, all right? Must be tight, has to have a lid, okay? So you're looking at, it's for a container outside. It's not a container that's inside. So when you're looking at the garbage for the outside. So you got to know that. So I hit those points that you need to know. And all those ones that I said, trust me, you're going to need to know them when you start studying for your final exam. All right. So that is chapter 11. So we're about to do chapter 12. All right.